Once again, a battle between good and evil is being fought on the lands of the Old World. The Bretonnians are the holy knights chosen by the Lady. With determination they fight off all evil. The Demons of Chaos, however, have come from the realm of chaos to claim the souls of the Bretonnians.
Hello fellow Old World inhabitants and welcome to the third round of the Old World campaign of the gaming Lords Leuven. In this round we're playing flank attack, which means there are two forces, the main force and the flank force. Flank force consists out of non-character unit that's worth at least 30% of the total army cost. And now without further ado, let's get right into the battle report.
Alright, third round of the Old World campaign. Demons of Chaos versus Bretonnia. Playing Chaos Demons Tzeentch based, Tzeentch themed. So for the deployment, on this side I got 6 Flamers with 1 Exalted Flamer level 3, 13 Blue Horrors, my Lord of Change who's a level 4 with Lore of Demonology, 24 Pink Horrors and a Herald level 3, Skull Cannon, and a Soul Grinder of Nurgle.
So this is a Bretonnian Grand Army with Pegasus Knight joined by a Duke and the Paladin. The Paladin is the Battle Standard Bearer, upgraded to a War Banner. Standard unit of Knights of the Realm, nothing special. Grail Knights with the level 4 Prophetess. She has Illusion magic. She has Spectral Doppelganger, Glittering Robe, Column of Crystal, and Miasmic Mirage. Another unit of horses. Some peasants I found in a pool of mud, and some more Knights of the Realm.
Alright, and we're playing flank attack, and Demons of Chaos have the first turn, so let's get started.
Command phase, the Demonic Herald is going to cast Demonic Vessel on the unit of Pink Horse. He gets an 8, which plus 4 is 12. The Bretonnians decide not to dispel it, so we go to the Lord of Change, who's going to cast Steed of Shadows also on the Pink Horse to give them fly. The Lord of Change rolls a 9 plus 5 since he's a Demon of Change, which is a lot. Once again, the Bretonnians decide not to dispel it. The Lord of Change is going to try to cast Demonic Vessel on himself. He needs a 10, but he only rolls a 3, which is 8 in total, and that's not enough. The Skull Cannon is going to shoot at the unit with the Duke and the Pegasus. Skull Cannon is going to aim 9 in front of the Pegasus. It rolls a 6, and then the cannonball bounces another 10 inches going through the whole unit. Then the Duke is going to try to roll a Lookout, sir.
Oh no!
Skull Cannon needs to roll a 2 to wound the Paladin, not the Duke. Which he does, which means that the Paladin has to roll a 5 plus armor save, which he fails, and then a 5 plus war save, which he also fails.
Oh no!
D3 wounds on the Paladin, rolling a 1, which means only 1 wound. Then to wound the Pegasus behind the Paladin, rolls a 6, which means AP minus 4, which means that it only has its 5 plus war save, which he didn't save. D3 damage, dealing 2 damage, which means one of the Pegasus has been destroyed. Then the final Pegasus behind also has been wounded, but the war save has been made with a 5 plus, which means that only 1 Pegasus has been destroyed and the Paladin has received 1 wound. Then the Lord of Change is going to use his Stygian wand on the knight in front of him. He rolls a d3 plus 1, rolls 6, which means 4 shots. Hitting on trees and wounding on trees as well, which means he wounds twice. The knights make one of these wounds with their armor save, but fail their war save since it is a strength 4 attack, which means he doesn't have a 5 plus war save. Then the Lord of Change is going to cast the summoning on the same knight, and it rolls a 9. The Bretonnians are going to try to dispel it, hoping on a double 6, but unfortunately they don't make it. With the 2d6 automatic hits, the Lord of Change scores 7 hits. Wounding on trees, and the Lord of Change deals 5 wounds. The knight roll very well on their armor save, managing to save 4 of them with just their armor save, but fail their 1 remaining war save. The knights have to make a panic test, but they roll an 8, which is just fine, and they don't run away. The Flamers are going to shoot at the knights in front of them. First is the Exalted Flamers. How many shots does he have? 3 shots. Needs a 4 up to hit and then a 3 to wound, but doesn't deal any wounds. 5 D3 shots of the other Flamers that are still in the unit. They get a combined 11 shots in total. They hit on 5s, but they only get 2 hits, and they wound on 3s, dealing 2 wounds to the unit. The knight saved them both. Then Exalt the Flamer is going to cast the summoning as well on the knight. He rolls a 7 plus 4 is 11. He gets 5 hits that all wound on 3s, dealing 5 wounds in total. Of those 5 wounds, the knight only managed to save 2, which means that they have to make 3 war saves on a 6+, because that's strength 4 attack, which they also don't make, and that means that 3 knights have been destroyed by the Flamers. Then the big unit of pink horrors is going to shoot on the knight in front of them with the lady. First up is the pink herald that has 2 attacks, and he makes 1 hit. He wounds on a 3, and he also manages to wound. The knight fails its armor save and then still has a 6+ war save remaining, but also fails that one. The other Flamers have 14 shots in total, but they only hit on 6s, which is only 2, and they only wound once, which the knights also managed to save. And with all of that shooting, that concludes turn 1 of the Demons of Chaos. They moved up a little bit in this turn. They managed to destroy some knights with their shooting, but nothing major to mention. So now we're going to turn 1 of Bretonnia. The Bretonnian starts going to try to dispel it, but he fails it. Next up is the Lady's Gift to the unit of Pegasi, which the knights managed to get on the highest level. The Demons of Chaos are going to try a Fateful Dispel, but they do not make it. Next up is Arcane Urgency cast by the wizard in the back on the Pegasi. They make it with an 8, only a 6 was needed, which means the Pegasi can move again.
Ruby Ring
Next up
of
is
the,
the Ruby Ring of
the
cast on the horrors, which has been successful.
Oh, yeah,
So how
got it.
many hits? 7 in
36
total.
hits.
From the 7 hits, 4 of them hit on
3, so on 3.
because the horrors only have toughness 3, and which means also 4
4
horrors
hits.
die because
I
they are
can't
not
save
allowed
because
to
it's a
take
magical
war
attack,
save
so I get
against
4 wounds.
magical attacks. Next up is the normal fireball, also cast on the horrors with a lot of hits and also with quite some wounds, which are 7 wounds. We actually saw that was 1 less wound because one of the dice was a 2, so that was a small mistake. Which again, the horrors are not allowed to save because they are magical. Next up is the Pillar of Fire, which has been successfully cast by the wizard in the back, the prophetess, and now we're just placing the template. Then the peasant bowmen are going to unleash their arrows on the blue horrors, which they only hit on 5s. They do manage to get 3 wounds on the blue horse. They still can use their war save, which the blue horrors make 2 of them, so only 1 horror dies. Finally is
Golem
the
of Crystal, because we
which has
forgot.
been cast by the wizard, which is also by the Lord of
Yeah,
Change.
9. The Lord of Change
wizard
is going to
makes
try to
a
dispel.
5, which the Lord of Change manages
6
to
plus
dispel
4
with
is
a
10.
double 3.
So I
And that
think
was the
that's
last bit
dispelled.
of the shooting of the
I even failed.
Bretonnians.
So end of turn 1 of Bretonnia.
Alright, MVP is the Wizardess, which is weird against Tzeentch, but she cast 2 successful fireballs against the pink horse, killing about 10.
Yeah, about 10. Yeah.
Something or other.
8 plus 1, 9. Yeah.
The bowmen did nothing, but that's not why they're here. So everything is kind of in position. Hopefully next turn we'll see some charges if there are still horses left.
This is indeed very scary with the Pegasi in the back. So we're going to turn 2 of Demons.
First up is the Herald, who's going to cast the Demonic Vessel on the pink horrors and himself. He rolls very high, and only with an 11 can the Bretonnians dispel it, which they actually do. The Lord of Change is going to try the same, once again casting the Demonic Vessel on himself, which he makes with not that high of a roll, and the Bretonnians manage to dispel it, again rolling 11. Then the Lord of Change is going to try to cast Hero Shadows on the Flamers, trying to give them flying, which he makes by rolling an 8. The Bretonnians try to dispel it, but they fail it, and that means that the Flamers now have fly 12. And the Exalted Flamer is trying to cast Gathering Darkness on the knights in front of him. He rolls a 5, which is unfortunately too little to make the casting value. The Lord of Change going to try the same thing. He rolls a 5. The Bretonnians try to dispel it, but they fail. After the movement phase, we forgot that Lord of Change still had Demonic Vessel, so he's going to cast that on himself and he gets it with a 10, and the Bretonnians barely didn't dispel it. Then in the shooting phase, the Skull Cannon is going to shoot through the unit of Pegasi. He's hoping to get with a line 2 of those Pegasi. With the first shot, he rolls a 6, which means that the first knight has not been hit, but maybe with the bounce, the one behind him will be hit, and that happens. He does wound the knight, but the knight does save it with his 5-up. Soul Grinder is going to use his Gatling gun in his hand on the Pegasi. He gets 6 hits and he wounds them, and then of those hits he manages to wound 5 times. The knights have their armor save, which they make 2 of them, then with their 6+ wild save they make none, and with their 5+ regeneration they save another 1. 2 wounds have been dealt, so that means that 1 Pegasus dies. The unit of Pink Horse is going to cast Pink Fire on the unit of Grail Knights, but unfortunately they don't make the casting value. Then the Herald is going to cast the summoning also on the Grail Knights. He rolls a 6 plus 4 is 10. At first glance that means he made it, but because of the magic resistance of the Grail Knights he failed it. Then the Lord of Change going to use his wand on the Knight. He gets D3 plus 1 shots. He rolls for 3 shots in total. He has a very high ballistic skill, which means that he hits on 2s and he wounds on 3s, so he does 2 wounds in total. First up is the 5+ armor save that fails, then the 5-up war save, which also fails, so that means that 2 knights have been destroyed. Then the knights have to roll a break test, which they make off camera. Then the Lord of Change is going to try to cast the summoning also on the Grail Knights. He rolls 15 in total, but because of the magic resistance it becomes 2 less, and once again the Bretonnians make the dispel with a very high dispel roll. The Blue Horrors trying to finish the job and destroy the last remaining knights in front of them. They hit on 5s because they are in close range. 3 wounds come through, but they don't have any AP, and the Bretonnian knights manage to save 2 with the armor save, and then the 1 lonely wound gets through, which means that 1 more knight is being removed off the game. Then the Pink Horse are going to shoot on the Grail Knight. First Herald, he rolls on a 5-up, needs a 5 to wound, which he doesn't get, so no wounds come through. The others need 6s to hit the Grail Knight. They roll 4 6s, which is not bad, and they still manage to deal 2 wounds on the Grail Knights. One of those 2 knights fails his armor save, and then he still has a 6-up war save, which he also fails, which means that one of the Grail Knights has been destroyed. The Flamers are going to breathe flames in the rear of these knights. First up is the Exalted Flamer, so how many hits does he get? 2 hits, which also both hit, and then he wounds on 3s, and he also deals 2 wounds. The knights make 1 of their armor saves, and then the final one is a war save on a 6-up, which they also get. 5 T3 shots of the other Flamers, which is quite some shots. They hit on 4s. They manage to get 5 hits and then they wound on 3s. The knights surely have been blessed by the lady, because they make 2 of their armor saves and another 6-up war save. The Exalted Flamer tries casting the summoning on the knights, but he fails.
Alright, end of turn 2 of the Demons. Not the best turn, honestly. The Flamers didn't deal any damage on the Knights in the back. That's very unfortunate. Only destroyed 1 Grail Knight. Did almost decimate that unit, so that's good. And destroyed 1 Pegasus Knight. So we're going to turn 2 of Bretonnia. Oh, the Lord of Change is going to try to dispel the pillar. 9, didn't make it.
The Prophet on the Lord of Change, but doesn't make the casting value. Then Glittering Robe also on the Grail Knight. The Prophetess doesn't roll very high, however the Lord of Change doesn't manage to dispel it.
End of turn 2 of Bretonnia. We're going just to do end of turn summaries because the club is closing soon. I lost a lot of Pink Horrors over here after a successful charge of the Grail Knights. As you can see, the Soul Grinder has been slain by the Pegasus Knights, and the Lord of Change has received 2 wounds. So, oh, and the Flamers over there have received 1 wound. So we're going to turn 3 of Demons. End of turn 3 of the Demons. The pink horrors have been destroyed, as has the skull cannon. The Pegasi, they moved up and they're now in the middle, the center of the battlefield. The knights over there have been destroyed by the flamers. The last knight over there has also been destroyed by the blue horrors. And so going to turn 3 of Bretonnia. Alright, we actually already come at the end of the game. The Lord of Change has been slain by the Duke, and then they overran into the Flamers, so they're probably going to die as well. So there's the MVP, and then finally the 2 Brimstone Horror Swarms would also be destroyed, I think. Maybe I would have destroyed them, I'm not sure. GG.
So we come at the end of the third round. The 3 leading armies of this round are both Vosbal and Kevin with their Dwarven, and Peter with his Bretonians. Thank you for watching till the end. This is going to be the last video for this year, since the holiday season is just around the corner. So I'm wishing you and your family the best of holidays and the best of times together. And I hope to see you again next year in the world of legends. Until then.